We've got such a storm out here. It's actually not funny. There is a huge, 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 huge storm. And I've got the beekeeper here harvesting the honey for me. And we've had such a beautiful spring that, well, I'm probably going to get about 48 jars full of honey, raw, beautiful, organic honey. So
cool.
It's very, very exciting. Yeah.
Sounds good.
Yeah. And then I'm going to be talking a bit later. You saw I've got all the kimchi, and I've got the kombucha and everything lined up to really excite and inspire people, and to bring in the really, really powerful microorganisms, which we're needing right now, especially with all the goings on and the solar flares and the age of Aquarius and the solstices and people letting go the negativity and the people facing their shadow and people, really taking their power back. So we need whatever reinforcement we can get from our gut microbes.
I can hear the sound there.
It's huge. You heard the thunder and the lightning, and it's just awesome because it's recharging the earth for us and bringing the almost down. And well, we've had the most amazing spring. We've had an abundance of rain. It's just unbelievable what weather we've had. It's just such a blessing. It really, really is a blessing. So yeah, we're looking forward to. I just think this auspicious time right now, the next 2 weeks, and we're looking forward to our shadow workshop. That's going to be absolutely fantastic, where we can really, meet hopefully for most of us, the last remnants of shadow, and also as you're going to be saying in the video, but basically also and live organically, raise our vibrations. I think we're in for a really, really good time. Sort of 21st and onwards, but we do need to put the work into to clear ourselves and prepare as always. I mean, I don't believe we should be watching the news right now, because all it's doing is holding us back. It's keeping us in the old dimension and the old paradigm. And so it's really a question of, working out what's best for you. And I've been doing a whole series of lectures every night, inspiring people, getting the imagination going, so that we're individually and collectively in a space to create, because we are born in the image of the Creator, right? So I think now especially, and we can give up the old paradigm, the old false paradigm that we've been really forced to live in. And for me, that's very, very exciting and very enlivening. So we're really looking forward to this archetype presentation, Desi, from you this evening, and then Rita and I will take over, and we'll also do the Raising Humanity's Immunity to COVID, and that fits in very nicely with everything that we're doing. So, as always, it's an honor to have you, Desi. I'm going to hand over to you. We've got a whole lot of people joined in now, and it's over to you. The floor is yours. Thank you.
Okay, let's show the video first, okay?
The video. All right, so you do that. There we go.
Way back in the 40s and 50s, Carl Jung revolutionized all of our ideas of the self, science, thoughts, and medicine. He came up with brilliant ideas. Way back in the 40s and 50s, Carl Jung revolutionized all of our ideas of the self, science, now with today's quantum physics, he came up with brilliant ideas that were really misunderstood. Nobody quite understood these different things.
Hello. We lost you.
Sorry, Desi, I'm just replaying it because sometimes I get a double play. I don't know how, but I do. Let me just try it again.
Way back in the 40s and 50s, Carl Jung ideas of the self, science, thoughts, and medicine. He came up with brilliant ideas that were really misunderstood. Nobody quite understood these different things. Now with today's quantum physics, we do understand. See, he said that fantasies are facts. Now we understand that there really is powers of the mind. He was being very truthful, insightful. There's synchronicity. The universe has a consciousness. Things seem to happen. There's a collective unconscious. Now, quantum entwinement, quantum entanglement has proven this. There are archetypes that come to us from collective unconsciousness. And these are like the innate inborn reflexes that people develop in psych theory today. Carl Jung gave us all of this in very good detail. There is evil and a shadow in all of us. It must be communicated with and dealt with, or cannot be ignored. Dreams can reflect the future, and people have two sexes. Carl Jung gave us all of these ideas and more. And now we need to really take a long look again at the work of Carl Jung.
Yet these fantasies are facts. It is a fact that a man has such and such a fantasy.
The internal world is a fact to that person. And there is things called shared dreams. And basically, as we dig into our deep personality, we start to find out that there is factual events happening here.
And it is such a tangible fact, for instance, that when a man has a certain fantasy, another man may lose his life.
Yes, a man can lose his life when one person's fantasy, one person's inner desires, drives him through greed, arrogance, hate, false beliefs.
Fantasy is not nothing. It is, of course, not a tangible object, but it is a fact nevertheless. It is, say, a form of energy, despite the fact we can't measure it. It is a manifestation of something.
The computer offers us a very interesting way to open doors to this internal reality.
And that is a reality that is just a reality as, for instance, the peace treaty of Versailles or something like that. It is no more, you can't show it. But it has been a fact.
Money, as an example, has no real value. It's only a perceived value of how you can possibly spend it. In nature, money has no value whatsoever. Love, happiness, equality, freedom, all basic ideas that you cannot touch. They're not concrete. They're basically feelings. And yet, we die for these things.
We are only deeply unconscious of these facts because we live all by our senses and outside of ourselves. If a man could look into it himself, he would discover it. And when a man discovers it, in our days, he thinks he's crazy. And he may be crazy.
When a man looks inside and finds his own internal dance, the blend of who is conscious and unconscious come together. Yes, we appear to be crazy. We appear to be disjointed from society when we allow ourselves to get in touch with who we are.
Follows a pattern. Or the behavior of any bird or insect follows a pattern, and that is the same with us. Man has a certain pattern that makes him specifically human. A child is not born tabula rasa, as one assumes. The child is born as a high complexity with existing determinants that never waver through the whole life.
These basic personality types that we refer to as archetypes might appear to be genetic, but actually they're more epigenetic. They're not of the DNA.
It has an autonomy. It can suddenly seize you. It is like a seizure.
Yes.
So, for instance, falling in love at first sight, that is such a case. The way in which a man should behave is given by an archetype. And therefore, you see, the primitives tell such stories. A great deal of education goes through storytelling.
We get constructs, social constructs, the way a man should be. Leonardo da Vinci actually was found out that he was a transsexual. That deep inside, he actually had both sexes inside. And he captured that genius because of that ability to see both sides. And it was that that allowed him to express that. And the idea of what is a man, or what his man should be, genetically, society, well, basically, as we understand what is a woman, what is a man, what is our ideas of who is submissive, who is dominant, how should a person be, because this all judgment is imposed onto us, and we start to learn different ideas, and we start to blend into the dance of life based on ideas what we should or shouldn't be, sometimes ignoring how we really are inside.
What is it in your unconscious that makes you wrong?
What is it that makes you whole? Well, when you can bring the two sides together, as they flirt with coming together, the conscious, the unconscious, but when they start to merge and start to become as one, and act as one, and one can see the other and the other can see the other, then we have the blend and the beauty of blending and jumping into the unconscious like a deep well. Yes, Carl Jung's work is timeless. It gives us such a deep insight into today's world. Synchronicity is ever present. It's a reality for those who have the eyes to see. He gave us all of these different ideas, that there's a meaningful coincidence of two or more events, and that there's more than just probability of chance, and that everything that irritates us about others can lead us to understanding ourselves. This is Desiree Dubonnet. Just wanted to tell you, you see, we're not as young as we used to be. In fact, now we're more Jungian than ever. Carl Jung gave us a gift of understanding of the basic archetypal images inside humans.
We need more understanding of human nature, because the only real danger that exists is man himself. He is the great danger, and we are pitifully unaware of it.
Human beings have an external awareness and an internal awareness. We are guided by archetypal internal images. There are good and evil impulses in all of us. And basically we have these impulses that we are born with, that come to us from nature and from nurture as well.
We know nothing of man, far too little. His psyche should be studied, because we are the origin of all coming evil.
We need to study the psychology of man to learn more about this and to understand evil. And evil comes from too much greed, anger, delusion, false belief, and arrogance. All these different principles coming to us from religion as well as from life and from philosophy, psychology. And Carl Jung told us that to confront a person with his own shadow is to show him the light. One does not become enlightened by images of just light, but by making the darkness light. We have to shine conscious light into our unconscious darkness to make the unconscious conscious. And until we do, it will direct our lives. And it can produce evil. We can justify any type of war, weapons, hurting people, killing people. You see the good, and then there's bad. And these different types of crimes will never know what happened, who did it, why. We have to understand and face that all of this happens. There is goodness and evil within all of us. We must address our own evils of greed, arrogance, hate, and delusions, and false belief. We have to be able to address this and understand the archetypal images that drive us, that make us different. There's incredible diversity in the human being. We are not all the same. Incredible diversity. And most people are born with different innate instincts to care for the self or to care for others. Conflict, right or wrong, loyalty to the tribes or loyalty to your own intellect, respect for authority, respect for rebellion, purity, laughter, fear, vision, optimism, pessimism, liberal, conservative, hero, psychopath. All of these different things we are going to now explore in our series of awareness based on the Jungian archetypes.
Okay. Hello?
Here with you. I'm right here.
Okay. If you could bring up that picture I sent you a picture on Skype.
Sure, let me get it.
That was there at the end. And I sent everybody, I have a whole course where I have hours of videos and training about the Carl Jungian ideas. So you could see a lot more in that course as part of the immune course, but I sent you the PDF there for everybody to look at. But if you could put up the picture.
I'm going to get it. Hold on a second. How do I get Skype on here?
I don't know.
Let me just go back again and see.
When it comes to the architect of the technician, I'm not that one.
The thing is, I can get everything else. It's just
you just have to type and download it.
I'm just going to see if I can find it. Hold on. I've posted it in the group already.
I can bring it up and then I can share mine.
Otherwise, I've got to put it onto my WhatsApp. I think that might be better. I can bring WhatsApp up, you see. Copy it and then put it on WhatsApp.
I think I can do it from my screen. I'll do screen share here. Sorry, screen share application. I'll do it from mine. If you would mute your...
I've got it if you haven't. All right. If you can do it, that's great. There we go. That's it. You got it.
That's it. And if you could mute your microphone so we don't hear the thunder.
Thunder.
She has a storm there.
I know.
So we're going to talk, the shadow is the workshop we're going to do on Monday the 21st. And that's going to be the day where the Jupiter and Saturn align, and it's going to be very interesting, very powerful. What we're going to talk about today is the idea of the archetypes. That there are types of ideas or structures that every human being shares. We get little stories as we're growing up and we start to understand, and we have feelings about different things that get into our mind, and we become a type of archetype or a blend of archetypes. Now, the basic instincts of human beings, I think, can help us to understand these archetypes. And I put the archetypes down here, but we're going to talk about them in terms of human instinct. Okay? So number one, there is an instinct in the human being to care for yourself, and there's an instinct to care for others. So if we take a look at the caregiver, and probably the best person who cares for others, the best person we could probably think about would be Mother Teresa, who gave up her entire life to live in the very, very depths of poverty and despair in Bangladesh, and to just get up and 24 hours, 24/7 care for others. So we see that as an archetype image. Now, on the other side of that is somebody who's completely selfish and cares just for themselves. I don't think that Donald Trump is the complete extreme there, but I think we get an idea of that from our friend Donald. Okay, so we can imagine somebody completely 100% selfish. Now, all of you listening, where do you fall on this scale? Do you fall right in the middle? Do you fall that you care a little bit for others? Where do you fall on this archetypal image? Now, that might change from day to day. You have good days, you have bad days. But where do you actually gravitate? You see, because everybody has a choice. You have a choice every day. Do I want to spend my day caring for myself? Do I want to spend the day caring for others? And everybody will have to blend a little bit of each, because it's impossible to care for others if you don't care for yourself. But where do you fall on this spectrum? And if you start to understand where you are, you start to understand yourself. Now, number two, there's another instinct that we have as human beings. We all are born with an instinct of right versus wrong. Now, there are certain people who have a very, very strong instinct of right versus wrong, extremely strong. They basically, judge everything, everything right and wrong. They see things, and they see things as black and white, and they can take it to an extreme. Then there's the other side, the other archetype, where they have no reverence whatsoever for right or wrong, no respect. So we have the policeman, the right versus wrong, versus the outlaw. So we have these as archetypal images. Where do you fall in this? Are you completely somebody that lives your life with no rules, no integrity, no law? Are you that outlaw person? Or are you the person that is like the policeman? But as I think you're going to start to realize that our real problem is not the middle here. Our real problem that comes in is human beings that go to any extreme. They go too far left or right. But where do you fall? Are you somebody who cares about right or wrong? And also has the idea that, every rule can be broken. There's need to be flexibility. That's in the middle ground here. Where do you fall in this? What archetype are you? Now, number three, loyalty to tribe or loyalty to intellect, to yourself. Everybody, as we're born, we get into our family and we start to get into the country, we get into the city, we draw loyalties towards the local sports team. I was there when they had the World Cup in South Africa and everybody was, yay, and so there's a tribe loyalty that's an instinct, but there's also inside people, there's the loyalty to your own intellect beyond tribes. So where do you fall in this? Are you the heavy, follower of the tribe, and whatever is best for the tribe, even if it's not best for humanity, or are you somebody who is more into humanity, the global full range? And there again, somebody could be too far into humanity and not respectful of their local tribe rules and regulations, etc. The different flow of emotion that's happening with the tribe. So where are you in this loyalty to tribe? I think probably the best place to see this is in America, where we have this incredible construct of Republican versus Democrat, conservatives versus liberals. Back to the right versus wrong. That's where the conservative is extremely conservative. There's right and wrong, there's law, and this is the way it is. The father of, the elderly father will be, this is the way it is. And then the young child growing up, the 15-year-old, the rebellious youth. No. Those rules are flexible, type of thing. And then we have this Republican Democrat idea of conservative liberal. And actually, for a lot of people, they lose touch with thinking. They start to just go with what they're supposed to. I'm Republican, I should support whatever the Republicans say. You're a Democrat, you should support whatever the Democrats say. And it's kind of hard for people who don't live or have not lived in America to really understand this loyalty to this tribe, this Democrat Republican tribe. It's kind of hard to get a grip. Every place else in the world has developed other beyond the two-party system, so it might be hard for you to understand. But everybody has to face their instinct of loyalty to tribe and their other instinct to loyalty to humanity. Everybody has to be able to fall on this spectrum to understand this. Number 4, respect for authority, rebellion. Similar to what we've been talking about, but they're people who just, it isn't just right or wrong now. Now we're talking about authority. So even if the instinct that I have about right or wrong, the fact of, do I respect authority? Now here we have a really good example of what happened as Nazi Germany developed. As Nazi Germany developed, we found out there was a profound instinct in the human being to respect authority, to bow down to the wishes of the authority. This is a human instinct that cannot be denied. And there was a man named Stanley Milgram, who did a lot of research on this. After World War II, everybody was wondering, just we have a pizza coming. A whole grain pizza, by the way. A vegetarian whole grain pizza is coming. So Stanley Milgram did an experiment. Everybody was wondering, how could the German society have let the Nazis take over and kill people? Everybody was wondering about this. Let me shut the door. Okay. So Stanley Milgram was a clinical experimental psychologist, and he made an experiment. He would take and hire somebody to be in the experiment, and they would walk into a room, and there would be 2 people. One was going to be the subject, and the other was going to be the person who was going to give the punishment. He put the person, now the person who was getting the punishment was an actor. The person who is the center of the experiment, did not know that this was an actor. He thought that this was a normal person. The 2 people would be allowed to talk in a room. As they were talking in a room, the person who was the actor would tell the other person that he had a heart condition. So that he was sensitive, and he had a heart condition, and etc. So then the experiment would start. The actor was brought into a room and supposedly hooked up to an electronic stimulation machine. The subject of the experiment would sit there and have a bunch of switches, and he was told that he would ask questions of the actor in the other room. And if there was a wrong answer, he was to give a shock. There was a panel in front of him, and he was to give a 1-volt shock, 5-volt, all the way up to 400 volts. And it would go on. And up at the top where the 400 volts was, there would be red X's, danger. Now, there was no shock, so it didn't really happen. But the person who was in the experiment did not know this. And then as this would go on, and the person would miss the question, and then they would give a shock, and you would hear the actor, in pain. And gradually, as the shocks increased and increased, the actor was told to yell louder and to start to plead to stop. They did this experiment, and it's horrific. 65% of the people that they experimented on went all the way to the top of those shocks. Even after the actor would plead for his life. Because there is a profound instinct in the human being to respect authority. 65% fall into somewhat of this archetype. 40-some% of the people are rebellious. They rebel against authority. And they wouldn't flip those switches. There are certain people who are so rebellious that they don't accept any authority. So thereby they're an extreme. But we will find that many, many people have such respect for authority and inability to really judge for themselves that they will do horrendous things. And it was not the fact that they were German about World War II. It was the fact that they were human. Many humans would do this. It's an instinct. Number 5, purity versus exhibitionism. We have certain people that have this archetype of just everything so pure. The Vestal Virgin type thing, untouched. We're talking about sexuality and purity, and just never show any bit of skin or whatever, and just everything so prim and proper. The word prude is what we would say in America. We call somebody a prude, very prudish. Versus the other side, somebody who's an exhibitionist, wants to show off their body, show off things, etc. Now there can be too much. There could be extremes on this scale. Let me tell you, vast extremes on this scale. But this is another place. Where do you fall? Are you so prudish that you can't conceive of ever, opening your mind to, reveal yourself, your sexuality? Or are you so exhibitionist that you can't understand? Because one of the things we're going to see is in each one of these categories, people at the extremes cannot communicate. The prude cannot communicate with the exhibitionist. They don't have the ability to talk. The person who has complete respect for authority cannot talk to the rebellious. The extremely conservative person cannot talk to the extremely liberal person. People at the extremes are not able to communicate because they don't share enough. They have to learn to get into a little different field. Now, number 6, juxtaposition, to be able to laugh at others and self. There are certain people that have no ability to laugh. They don't have too much humor. Then there's other people who think everything is funny. So we have to be able to blend in. Oh, I just lost the mouse.
What happened?
The mouse. Did we lose the screen there?
Yes, we did.
Oh.
I wonder if this can. Does this?
I'll get it back here.
All right.
I hope. Is it back?
Yeah, we've got it. We've got it.
Okay, there we go. So we have the people who have no sense of humor versus people who can laugh. And there's people who can only laugh at others, and there's people who can laugh at themselves. Okay? The greatest, Will Rogers, the American philosopher, comedian, he said, and it's very true, the greatest measure of mental health is the ability to laugh at yourself. There's certain people who can't do this. They're very, very defensive. They cannot see anything funny about them. They can only laugh at others.
I have the best trainer, you.
So, because I'm very, very good at laughing at myself
and also at me.
Helping people to break up and let go. I consider myself a master at this. I basically am one of the archetypes of the Joker, the trickster, and I have these ideas because I think that all of life has a cosmic joke to it. We shouldn't take anything too serious, okay? And because I identify with that type of archetype.
But I think that people, because they are so defensive, they build up shields of masks. And these layers of masks we are trying to peel off to recognize the shadow, right?
Well, absolutely. Now, let's get to the next one. Fear versus vision. There's people who live their lives in fear. Very, very fearful, always worried about how to prevent the next cataclysm. Always afraid. They could live their life in that. Then there's other people who have no fear. They live in just ideas of vision. So human beings, we have an instinct to be afraid. We also have an instinct to expand our minds. And where do you fall in this instinct? Do you live your life in fear? Or are you capable of seeing past that? Another one here now, number 8. Optimistic versus pessimistic. People will develop a type of an archetypal idea. There's an instinct in all of us. In all of us, there is an instinct at times to be optimistic. And there's another instinct that tells us to be pessimistic. But certain people will live their lives very, very optimistic. The glass is always half full. Even when it's empty, the glass is half full to certain people. And then there's people who are very, very pessimistic. The glass is half empty. No matter what you tell them, they look at the bad side. They always, well, what's the danger here? What's the downside, as we say? Then there's other people who can only see the good side. We have these two extremes, and the better way to be is somewhere in the middle. And where are you? Are you somebody who who goes through life and sees the good side? Are you somebody who goes through life and sees the bad side? Carl Jung believed that a lot of this was kind of inherited. Then there was another group of this that kind of came in as we are raised. So the concept of nature versus nurture. Okay. Now, number 9, liberal conservative. Well, we talked about this because basically there's an instinct for people to be liberal, and then there's another instinct for us to be conservative. But where do you fall in this spectrum? Do you fall on as we say, the right or the left? Okay. And I never really got that straight, which one was right or which one was left. But I do understand conservative versus liberal. And now number 10. Here I have 3 different blends, not a spectrum, but kind of a triangle. Because there are certain people who have the hero. And we find that 1 person in 20 has a hero image that in times of crisis will step up and will actually risk his own life to help others. The hero. Then there's another thing that we know, that 1 person in 20 has psychopath or sociopath. Back to number 1, the psychopath, sociopath really have ideas to just care about themselves more than others. And 1 person out of 20 has excess of this. And 1 person out of 20 doesn't have the ability to see. And then the other 18 people statistically are followers, who just kind of follow. If I could tell you an example of this to understand the hero, etc., and the psychopath. You can imagine watching a movie, and in the movie, there's the bad guy, and the bad guy's escaping, and the good guy is chasing him. The bad guy has done horrendous things, very bad things to people, and he's escaping. And here comes the good guy chasing him. The bad guy grabs a small child and holds the child up as a shield. And probably the best thing was, there was a movie called, George Clooney movie, and it was a guy who was going to launch an atomic bomb. And he had an atomic bomb tied to his back. And he was going to destroy half of the city of New York with this atomic bomb. And he was escaping. He was going to go plant the bomb. And he picked up a child as a shield. And the instinct for some people would be, we can't shoot the child because that's a child. But then there's other people who would say, wait a minute, we have to shoot the child because we have to destroy the bomb. Most people will have the instinct to not see that child hurt. The sociopath has no qualms whatsoever, without hesitation, would shoot the child in order to get the bad guy. So you start to understand a little bit. You've seen the sociopath who sits in the bar and, oh, we should nuke them all. There's people that after World War II, said we should have nuked all of Japan. Oh yeah, it wasn't just bomb Hiroshima, bomb Nagasaki. We should have nuked all of Japan. And so you see, there are certain people that go to the extremes, and then there's the blind follower. So we have these basic ideas. Another one is the warrior versus the freezer. That in the old days, a group of people would be coming from the neighboring village. They come over the hill and they're attacking your village. The warrior is the guy who picks up the sword. He's going to pick up the sword, and he has the idea that he will increase his ability to survive. He's going to sacrifice himself to help the village, and he's going to pick up a sword and defend against the onslaught.
That's a hero archetype.
That's the hero archetype. It's the warrior archetype as well.
That's who you are, Desiree.
That's who I am. I identify very strongly with that. Now, many of the people in the village are freezers. They freeze. When danger comes, they just freeze. They stand still. And they feel that if they freeze and if they offer no threat to the incoming marauders, if they offer no threat to the people attacking, then the people who are attacking will not kill them if there's no threat. And then they would take those people back to their village to be slaves. But they will survive. So you can see certain people are freezers. Certain people are warriors. And I know as certain times I pick up the gauntlet and I'm going on the internet and I'm talking about correcting this wrong and this wrong. And other people, no, you're making too much noise. And they attack me because they can't understand. They cannot understand the warrior. They can only understand that everybody should be freezing, just stand still.
Some people believe if they are disconnecting from the tribe or from the population and from the most issues that other peoples do, then they are going to be outsiders. Some people are highly afraid of that.
Yeah, so they want to conform. There's a strong feeling of conformity that is instinctual to the human being. So out of these basic instincts of the human being expands the wealth of archetypes. And the amount of archetypes that we can discuss are vast, many different types of archetypes, archetypal images. And if you watch the course that I've given you here, you can see Disney and movie makers know how to tap the archetypes. They know how to set it so they can touch that instinct in you. Because you as a human being, you know what a warrior is. You might not be one yourself, but you know what that archetype is. So as you see that, as it's shown to you, it's entertaining, you see. And that's where the movie industry comes with, as we have a suspension of our disbelief to believe the movie. Now, as you start to get into more and more of the Jungian ideas, you start to see that Carl Jung had a very, very interesting perspective, and he started to develop it. And one of the things that's very interesting is he said that dreams are real, and that the dreams offer a window into looking into the future.
And all the dreams and visions are manifesting the reality.
But he said actually beyond just the reality, but actually the future.
The physical form.
The future reality, because people will dream. And if we look enough at our dreams, we could start to get a glimpse of what the future is.
That's why we need the correct mindset, mindful awareness, and we need to be able to choose the right energies and information what we let into our unconscious.
There's a tribe in Malaysia called the Sonoy, living up in the mountains. They discovered this tribe years and years ago. And this is an isolated tribe. They don't let in outsiders, etc. And I do not know the status of what is happening with the Sonoy now. But I do know when they found them, the Sonoy is called the dream culture. In their society, dreams are more important than the reality. In the Sonoy culture, every day at breakfast, every person of the family will discuss the dream they had last night. They discuss their dreams. When there is a problem in the village, such as, let's say, a disease, they will dream about where to find the proper herb to cure this disease. They seek solutions for their problems in dream states.
But that meant that they had a proper bowel flora, so they could rely on their dreams.
These are people who eat very, very well off the land, you know,
because they had no sugar.
Almost, yeah, no sugar,
and no KFC and no McDonald's.
No synthetic chemicals. These are people who were living completely off the land, and surprisingly, they just didn't eat an awful lot of meat because they had a deep respect for animals. And they said that, this is very interesting, but they said that whenever there's a cat in your dream, ask the cat a question, and the cat cannot lie. Whatever question you ask that cat, when the cat gives you an answer, it's the truth. Very interesting. But they said that these people were so psychologically together that they never had a murder. They don't have any crime. These people were so psychologically together that any of the people from our culture, we seem crazy if we visit them, because we are full of neuroses and crazy ideas and wants and desires that we can't fulfill, and etc. And these people are just very, very, good. Carl Jung said that dreams tell us so much. Another thing he said, that our fantasies are reality. It's very true. How do you, the building that you might be in right now, at one time was somebody's fantasy.
That's what I wanted to say, that we can also have mixed realities from other lives, or when we are, somebody told me once, when we are dreaming, we are entering into another world, another dimension. So maybe when we dream, we live a completely other life there.
I believe that there are certain dreams. I had patterns of dreams that I've had since.
Sometimes you tell me that you were in a battle and you were fighting the dragons.
There's a village on a mountain that I go to many times over my entire life. I probably had 100 dreams about it, and I go there, and so there's a reality to this. But these back to the fantasies, reality. So the house that you're living in, that at one time, that was somebody's fantasy. It existed on a piece of paper, a blueprint, as a fantasy. Somebody made that blueprint. Somebody thought, well, where am I going to put the bedroom? And what's this? And etc. And how would I do this? And through that fantasy, he sculpted it and brought it to life. So everything that happens, our fantasies should not be thought of as non-reality. They are reality. And we need to deal with our fantasies, deal with our dreams, and get more in touch. And then as we start to understand our instincts as I've explained to you. These are the basic human instincts.
And you also
beyond food and clothing and shelter. These are the instincts of how we react.
And we should try not to avoid or suppress certain emotions or desires or feelings which come up, because that can actually affect our archetypes and our dreams and how we actually manifest our reality.
So we need to open our mind to these things and learn about ourselves and where we fall in here. And if something I've told you today about these instincts, if something has touched you that maybe you're too extreme on one side or the other, maybe you want to change a little bit. Maybe you want to try to experiment, be a little more rebellious. Maybe, learn to laugh at yourself a little bit more. Maybe be a little more optimistic. Maybe become a little more pessimistic if you're too optimistic. I have known people who were so optimistic that I'm extremely optimistic. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
I am extremely, but I've known people who were more optimistic than me, and I couldn't be with them.
And you're extremely critical of what is good.
Well, I mean, there were certain people that were just so incredibly optimistic that I said, "Oh my God, no, we don't live in a world of unicorns in puppy dogs."
I think that sometimes is the best way to face our biggest fears and our weaknesses, because when we are able to listen and hear the criticism and be able to grab some effort and strength and power from it, then we are going to be able to develop and grow and move forward. Sometimes it might be painful and it might be a little bit hurtful, but I believe that criticism is needed for all of us to become better and to grow.
And maybe if you're a blind follower down there, number 10, maybe you want to try a little more idea of the hero,
Yeah, it is important to actually combine to make some changes here and there, because the only constant thing is the change.
So as we now to let you know about the software, we're just about done. But next week I'm not going to be here on Saturday because we'll be doing the Monday shadow workshop right then after that. So get ready for that. And then I think that we'll wait till the first of the year when we get the software, because it looks like we're going to have that all done, and I need a little time to play with it. So I deeply, deeply apologize for not having the software ready. But we will be getting all of the software training. I will start doing a different type of patient every week, so you can see exactly what buttons I hit and exactly how I treat every patient. So you can see that,
and as we mentioned,
and start to learn more.
We are also going to show you more diet and cooking ideas, and also some home exercise for all types of problems, joint problem, knee problem.
I've been getting all of the IMUNE courses. This one course I have here on Jungian philosophy is ready for you, but I got a lot more of those ready for you, and we'll be doing things. So I'm going to sign off for today, but before I do so, I'll see if you have any questions.
And we are also available with Desiree for private consultations, subspace sessions, and also any diet or health consulting.
If you want to do telemed with us, give us a jingle.
Or let Jane know, and Jane has our contacts. It is okay like that.
Any questions there, Jane?
Nothing written as such. Just a comment that the danger is man himself, and
absolutely,
that's a golden truth.
I think that because of the distortion and the way things are panned out, and whatever the powers that be, etc., I think that a lot of us have been shoveled down a road that we would not normally have chosen to have done, but because of the rulers and the being told what to do, and you talked about authority and that, we haven't been able to be true to ourselves because we've been so deceived. So really now it's a time for purification, as you said on one of the other ones, is where we can really purify ourselves and just get to that authentic self and remove the darkness, the dark shadows, and anything that's not serving us right now as we move into the new paradigm, because we can't afford to take that anymore with us.
It's not really removing our shadow. It's admitting our shadow,
making
its
existence
friends.
conscious. Yeah, making its existence
We
conscious.
we can't get rid of the darkness. But we can harness the darkness.
So if we come across a shadow, let's say on one of the archetypes, which is respecting authority, how do we know that it is actually an archetype of ours and hasn't been a manifestation of society and the illusion?
Oh well, I'm gonna cover all that in the shadow workshop. So
we must be careful, I think, and be able to draw that kind of distinction. I think, because a lot of it's just a distorted reality that we mustn't start believing that is an archetypal space of ours. You know what I mean? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. And
let me answer a question. This all exists, and we have to be able to deal with it. But it's also a flexibility issue, So I'll definitely address that as an issue as we get to the shadow.
During the shadow workshop, we are going to try to teach people how to be able to train their shadow and how to make it aware its existence. Because if that issue happens, then you can have your shadow standing on your side and working with you as a team, and that would be the goal, to bringing your own shadow to a higher level of awareness, where you can actually say that in certain times or certain moments your shadow is there to protect you, but the shadow cannot take control over your actions and cannot take control over your major decisions. That would be the goal.
So Carl Jung said that the shadow often can be found by addressing what are the things in other people that make you most angry. Who in this world, when you meet them, they really drive you crazy, make you really angry. And he would say that because that person is kind of like something in you that you have repressed.
That is a mirroring effect.
So that is your shadow, you see. You have repressed anything that you were repressing, that's your shadow. And when you repress this feeling, you see, and then all of a sudden you see somebody else who has that feeling, you get really angry. You say, oh, wow. Because actually it's tapping into something that you've repressed. So as we get to the shadow, we're going to recognize that the problem is repressing some feelings that we need to admit. We don't need to act on them, but we need to admit. And we need to bring out, and we need to confront. We don't let them go. We don't let them. But we also have to recognize that they do have a reality, and that reality must be dealt with. We have to recognize we cannot understand the light if we don't experience the darkness.
And people have to also address that perfection is not about not having any flaw or shadow or difficulty. Perfection is admitting and actually being aware of your mistakes and fears and faults, because that will make a person perfect, to be able to deal with their imperfections. And if we all get to that level of spirituality, then you are making a connection to your shadow, so it cannot hurt you anymore, because you are going to have a teamwork with your shadow, and that would be the major goal of the workshop. What we also put on to the flyer, that it will cost 150 euro, but if somebody wants to pay part in karma, we also accept that. Karmic payment is doing good to others. It can be giving food for somebody, being kind, giving a free session.
If they want karma, they have to talk to us directly.
Yes,
So anyway,
speak to Desi or Rita or myself regarding karma payment, and we'll get the flyer out, and it'll be a live webinar, 12 hours, right, Desi? How many hours?
3 hours.
3 hours. 3 hours. Okay. And then look, it's going to be, on a very special evening with lots and lots of very good vibrations, good energy, good alignment astrologically, and we are aiming for our own freedom, and this is really definitely something that's going to assist us in a very big way. And you will be able to see that those things that bothered you prior to the workshop, there's no button to press, because you've dealt with it. And this is what we aim to do, is have not too many buttons left to press. And so we're going to be working through that. And as Daisy said before, we're going to have it'll be private time, because it'll be your computer and Daisy, Rita, myself.
And we
all
the three of us will be available for people who need support or help. We are going to have private chat rooms, because it is a workshop that is very personal, and it is an
very
intimate,
powerful.
Very powerful, very personal. So if there will be somebody who will get confused, afraid, lonely, or will get some anxiety issues, because that can happen during facing your own shadow, we will be available for phone consultation, for messaging, answering questions. If somebody needs help to get out from an emotional depth, we are going to be.
But it's going to be really, really cool. I'm putting together something really fantastic.
I believe starting the new year with a personal issue like this and cleansing up our personality, it is always a great way to start.
And it will have some scary moments. So there will be some.
Well, no pain, no gain, right?
No pain, no gain.
And András will be having some herbs which are made for this workshop to increase mental focus and mental awareness. I'm going to send you more information.
Yeah, András, he'll probably send you some information about that. I dropped a couple of the list of electroceuticals. Somebody was asking about that.
Oh, good. I also posted from before, when you gave us that long list before, if people care to look in the chat, there's a long list there. There's a load of them. Daisy, but what the question was, do you have them all on some place, or is that what you say you will drag them out?
Oh, I sent you 2 links. There's 2 links.
Oh, there's 2 links. Okay, fine. Perfect. There we go, Zoe. We've got those.
And I will, those same links, I will expand those links. So right now there's 163 on the one, and probably be 200 within the next month or so. I'm adding them. I'll add them to this link. So
thank you. Thank you.
And if anybody needs more info, more details, they can also message to us or message to you. And we would like to know the number of people who are the participants by the middle of next week to prepare everything. It would be nice. And we are going to do more of this. So this may not be the only workshop, but in this year, this is the last one.
Okay, I'm going to knock off for the night.
So Puran, yes, definitely. You can everybody must invite whoever you want to join with us on the 21st.
Is there a maximum number of people you want to work with, or
the whole world could join in, bro?
Okay, so there is no limit of numbers.
No limitation of numbers. No. And just before, I just want to recap on this on this evening, where we've looked at the archetypes in preparation for 10 days time, basically, and for people to, I just believe, eat lightly, maybe go through the archetypes. I've got a picture of a thing that Daisy probably used before as well, where it just kind of puts the Carl Jung archetypes into a little bit of a a graphic, and I think maybe we should work through them independently until then. I mean, I've loved it already. I've already started looking at drawing little circles for each one of them and putting myself, you know, what percentage I am of each one, and just really just seeing how that works out within 10 days time. So this is a great guide, I think, Desi, for us to start working with, and also a great guide to, you know, if when patients come in, probably you've used it extensively yourself, and definitely Carl Jung used it. I'm just wondering, there isn't a place on our software that directly deals with these archetypes, is there? Have they gone already?
No, we are here.
Oh, sorry. There isn't a place on our software, but maybe we can just have a look and see how we do work with our clients when it comes to these archetypes, or we're going to be more training on this at the event.
We will do more training, and I think that before we do the event, I think next weekend there will be a little short intro, how to prepare, what people who attended can read. That's why we would like to know how many people are joining, because then we can send out like a mini informational flyer for them to read. How can they judge themselves? What kind of group we are talking about? How can they understand themselves better? So I think that we will do a short demonstration again next weekend, and we can inform the attendees also. So
I think, Rita, if Desi's not available next Saturday, I think that we need to tune in anyway, because it will be Sunday and then Monday. So Rita, if Desi's not around, you and me, we need to tune in anyway with everyone, and then just lead into the Sunday and the Monday.
We can also next Saturday, you and me, answering questions if somebody has questions according to the event or whatever. Definitely.
So that's very exciting.
Are there any questions now from somebody about the event, or?
I don't see any questions specifically. We've got two more things to talk about, and that is the people who want to join in with us. Desi and Regis are doing the work, we're doing the work, the therapists are doing the work, and we really are running with our devices, and the people who don't have devices, their consciousness to raise humanity's immunity to COVID in the broader sense, especially right now as we're moving up into this really, really open space. So we're very happy to report that we're getting fantastic results. We're keeping the humanity anchored, and making sure all the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed, etc., and feeding, and we really are piercing the veil here. And that's what I'm finding with my results, and I'm going to be working, solidly through now as well until 21st, and working on myself. Remember, we put our oxygen masks on ourselves first, and there could still be a bumpy road ahead between now. I mean, it's the 12th now. 14th onwards, it can still be a little bit bumpy, but we're ready for it. And that's what we need to be doing. We need to be sort of lightning strike, laser beam sharp about where we're going regarding all of this and our future. So similarly, what Desi and them did in 2012. So even the Mayan calendar now is saying that this is when it's the time of the awakening. So all of you who are joining with us, when we finish this evening, we're starting our devices, and we work for 24 hours. We do it on a Tuesday as well. And I think collectively we're doing what we can, individually and collectively. So thank you all for all this great potentiation of work and for joining in with us. Thank you, Desi and Rita, also for your wonderful introduction to the archetypes. We never stop learning with you, and it's just so appreciated. Thank you, honestly. What I've got left.
Oh, okay. Sorry. I'm here.
Okay. So, well, Rita, did you want to speak about anything specifically? I think a huge congratulations to you. You've just passed some amazing courses on nutrition, and lifestyle, and really positioning yourself into such a space where you can really help and educate all of us, the humanity in particular. So congratulations.
Thank you. I'm planning on constantly learning and developing myself, because I really enjoy studying, and I believe that until we are on this planet, we always have something to learn. And I would like to be better and better for people and in my work. And I will take all the education and all the practical things what are needed for me to become a better healer and more experienced.
Absolutely, I've no doubt that you will, because that the first archetype, caring for self, caring for others. You do care for yourself a lot. We can see that, but you've got a huge heart for humanity, and it really does show. So, thank you for all the work that you're doing. See, and I'm going to give you a kombucha cheers. How's that?
I love kombucha.
Yeah, and are we going to move into? I'm going to move into talking a bit about the fermentation. So, Ritzi, if you want to hang around, you're welcome to join me. I'm wanting to really talk about our microbiome, which is directly linked with our brain as well. And the healthier our gut is, the healthier our brain is. And we really do need to have a healthy gut to ward off the terrible toxins, the terrible food additives, the synthetic medicines, antibiotics, etc., that we might not be taking now, but we have taken before, to ward off the parasites, to ward off that terrible amoeba that sits there and eats all our GABA and all our PEA and our serotonin and our dopamine, which never gets to the head, and we wonder why we're feeling anxious and depressed and things. So we really need to have the most healthiest gut ever. And from our mouth to our butt is a tube that's outside of us. It's not inside us. So if we understand that very carefully, it can't be full of debris and slime and plaque, and it needs to be crystal clear in the little villi where the absorption occurs from our inside our gut through to the bloodstream. They need to be working perfectly and clean and not infected and not covered over by wheat and those kind of slimy foods and so on. And so we need to build this really healthy gut inside. And if you think about it, we wouldn't have any debris on our skin ever. So why have we got all this sludge inside? And some people die with, there was one film star that died with about 25 kilograms of sludge in his gut. And that's just terrible, because that is just a breeding ground for whatever parasite, fungus, bacteria that you can ever think of, and they bore their little way through the intestine into our bloodstream, and before you know it, they're in our brain and they're everywhere, and they're just literally eating. So very, very important, but mostly also for, I think, our intelligence and for our stability. And remember that we are 90% microbial, and 99% of our DNA is the DNA from the microbes. So even more so. I mean, I literally have surrounded myself here. I think those of you who know me, I've got my microbiome reset bottle here permanently. I've got a kombucha going. I make kefir every second day or so. I'm getting microorganisms from the fermented raw milk. And I've got the kimchi, the sauerkrauts, always on the go. I sometimes eat sauerkraut with flaxseed oil. It's the most delicious meal ever. And it satisfies you, and it's just, the food slides through you. I don't know really else how to explain it, but when your gut is clean, when it's working efficiently, you feel fine, you feel good, you have radiant energy. So what I thought I would do is just share with you some of the probiotics, and some you might know of, some might be new to you, because I know I got some feedback already. Jane, I've never even known about all these things. So let's examine them. Our ancestors knew really a lot about fermented food. There was always something on the table that was there to aid digestion, but it was part of the meal, and it wasn't really spoken about. It wasn't an issue. It wasn't isolated. It formed a holistic meal, along with the whole foods and everything else that went with it. So I've also got some recipes for you to share with you as well. So here is our first one, is our sauerkraut. And, you know, these are my recipes. I don't use measurements, really. So just bear with me on all of that. And so if you shredded a cabbage and you added some caraway and turmeric, and then you also add salt. Sorry, so those of you who are writing this down, you add Himalayan salt as well, and then you literally in a huge bowl, you literally squeeze the cabbage. You squeeze it and you squeeze it and squeeze it until the juice starts running out. And it's quite a meditative state you would get into in any event, but bearing in mind that you're using your skin, your microbes, plus the microbial cloud around you while you're making it, plus your thoughts and your emotions. So if you're conscious of this, you can actually make this, the sauerkraut, the kimchi, to be even more intelligent and even more, will work even more as medicine for you, because these microbes are sensing our excesses and our deficiencies. So if we took one step back, like I've just made my kimchi for the next week or two. I've got a couple of glasses, and this cabbage we grew. So I held all the seeds, we planted them, I walked over the ground. The seeds detected my excesses and my deficiencies, and as I said, even when I'm standing there, they can pick up on the energy waves as well. So it grew as medicine for me. And then I raised the intelligent to make it even super intelligent, more intelligent, by then fermenting it, allowing it to ferment. Now, there's two different ways. You don't add vinegar. That's going to upset the gut too terribly. It's going to let the candida grow, all right? So we use only salt. So in your big bowl, when you've shredded your cabbage, and you can elect to cut it yourself, or you can put it in a shredder. Personally, I like to cut it myself because I just feel it's part of the process, right? And then you massage this cabbage until it becomes juicy, and then you stuff it into this jar. Right down, you can see this is stuffed right down. In the morning, this is going to risen to the top. Always put it in a container because the juice runs out. So in the morning and twice a day, you open the lid. You push the sauerkraut down, right down again. The juice comes to the top. You put the lid on again, morning and evening, and you just keep pushing it down. The day it doesn't rise to the top is the day it's ready. And that's the day that you put it in the fridge and you start eating it. And when you start eating it, you will always use a clean utensil. Because the minute you get a utensil that's maybe been in your mouth or put on the side and got other microbes on it or something, you then are going to infect your sauerkraut, and it's not going to last as long as it should. It's going to go off. So you don't want that. So, you know, these are my friends. When my children were young, I called the microbes their friends. And, you know, little did I really know that these microbes are part of our intelligence. They give us the intellect. They're little stars that zoot under the microscope when you have a look at them under the slide. So the sauerkraut, the kimchi, have got you know, lots of the organisms for the upper part of the gut. Just to say, so it's made aerobically, and then you ferment it anaerobically. Just to tell you. So that's the sauerkraut. So you can take the recipe down. And just add salt as well. You shred the cabbage. I can't edit it here, and you add salt. All right, and the salt also helps it juice. And then you push it into the glass jar. You put the lid on, open it twice a day, and you eat when the cabbage stops rising, and then you refrigerate it. So I like to make smaller jars because then you know, every time you eat some, there's air that goes in, and it just seems to dry out and everything. It stays fresher and for longer if you've got smaller containers. And here's the kimchi where they've used carrots and sometimes beetroot and other veggies. But the key here is to use salt. Please don't use vinegar. You're going to upset your gut very badly. You will definitely upset the candida. Right, so that's amazing. Even people who maybe their blood group or don't really maybe like cabbage so much, Once it's gone through this process of fermentation, it's pre-digested already. And it's got loads of vitamin K, it's got loads of vitamin C. And you might be asking yourself the question, well, where do the microbes come? How does it start the fermentation? You know, you've only added salt. Well, the point of the matter is, and this just shows us that when we eat cabbages or fruit or vegetables, whatever, there's a microbial cloud that comes with the fruit and the vegetable, especially for digestion. So the more organic we grow, the more we're eating the natural microbes that are a part of the food. So the leaves of the cabbage contain all the microbes we need. Okay, and this will happen whether it's commercially grown or organically grown, just to tell you. So we've got a wonderful meal there, and I told you my secret. I love putting my flaxseed oil into the sauerkraut and just eating it. That's just gorgeous for me. And my puppies just adore it as well. They smell the stuff. They smell it. They eat and consume everything that I have here. So do my chickens, by the way. All right, so let's have a look at the next one. And this I was introduced to by my yogi teacher. It's the idli, and that was fermented lentils and rice. Okay, and again, the fermentation process enhances the intellect of the food and raises the probiotics, so that when we consume it, the food is better digested. So they make these little idli cakes. And those of you who are listening in that can actually make them for us, that would be superb as well. Okay, Wendy, I'll come back to you in a moment. So when you go to a restaurant serving this, order it, and it often also comes with a dosa, and the dosa is also a lentil fermentation as well. So the thing with the sauerkraut, the kombuchas, the microbiome reset, the kefirs is it hasn't been heated, just to tell you. So there's the organisms haven't all been heated, but this is fermented. So the food is pre-digested, and it's easier to digest for us, pre-digested. Okay, so that's absolutely delicious. I hope you're all ready for food after this, because you're going to get really hungry. So here we have the miso. And the miso is made from a variety of grains and beans that are fermented as well. And in a Chinese, Japanese restaurants, you will find this. There's the miso soup. So they've taken the miso, which is a concentrated barley. So it's boiled and boiled and boiled and boiled and boiled and boiled until you're left with literally the miso at the end. And that is what they put into the miso soup. Again, all right, so the miso soup's heated, so there may be and probably will be a loss of some of the organisms there because of the heat. So I like to eat the miso on its own. Obviously, I love miso soup, but I like to eat the miso on its own, and I will put that into my rice and etc., etc. So the fermentation process occurs after you've done the boiling process. So that's really, really gorgeous. And listen, these recipes are a dime a dozen on Dr. Google. So all right, so now we've got something that I can show you, the kefir. And to make it, you get so kefir is the fermented milk before it becomes the cottage cheese. I'll show you now. So these grains you can buy online or at your favorite health shop. And you get about a cup of raw milk, and you throw the little grains in. They normally come in a little bit of a solution that's already got all lots and lots of the probiotics already there. And then wait a day or two, you can stir it, and then you sieve it. And why do you sieve it? You sieve it so that you keep the little grains. You don't want to eat the grains, you want to sieve it and keep them. And then that goes into the next container. And then you keep a little bit of the kefir from your brew that you've just done, and you put it into the new container with the new grains and the new cup of milk. And as the grains get stronger and stronger, they have more babies. And I want to tell you something, they love cream. If you want to grow your little grains, give them cream. But I always use a raw milk. You see, I'm not going to use a pasteurized milk. But having said that, if you can only get pasteurized milk, understand this, that these organisms, these strong beneficial bacteria, fungi, and yeasts, will actually annihilate any toxin, any bacteria, and they will digest the heated proteins, and they will make it all in the quantum spin, already the right energetic field for the human body to consume. So they're very, very intelligent. And, you know, by consuming these foods, we become really intelligent. And that's just the answer. That is the secret to all of this. So, oh, before I do that, let me just show you. So I've left it like this so you can see. Now, at the top here is the cottage cheese. The bottom part here is the whey. So I turn this on its side, and I get a spoon, and I hold the cottage cheese up, and I pour the whey out. The whey goes to my chickens. And then I then strain the cottage cheese, but I'll carefully take out the little grains first of all. So if you want to prevent the cottage cheese forming, so in a day or two, you will see the milk automatically ferments, sours in other words, and you can sieve it straight away, grab your grains and put it into the next container. But this one here I left for you so that you can see if you want to make the cottage cheese, you can. And then you get an old pillow slip or some sort of cotton material, and you put all the dense mass into the pillow slip, and you tie it up, and then any excess whey will drip out, and then in the morning you open it up, and you have this most divine cottage cheese that you have ever tasted. So there's two ways of doing it. You can do the cottage cheese or you can do the kefir. And why do I do this? Why do I make this? Because I like to blend this with flaxseed oil. And that's called the Joanna Budwick mixture. And when you blend 1 cup of cottage cheese with half a cup of flaxseed oil, you then make the flaxseed oil completely water soluble. And by doing that, it's going to shoot through the body. It's not going to be able to concentrate in the blood as droplets, etc. And it goes straight to the cell membrane, straight to the brain, and supplies huge amounts of oxygen. So that's why I have this as well. So I'm eating consciously. I'm eating quality foods that are feeding me. I don't eat a lot. And so that's one of the things. I'm basically vegan, but I will have the kefir every second, maybe third day, as medicine. Okay, so that's very, very important. So let's see what's next. All right, and there we have it. And that's what I wrote there. Always remove the grains. Okay, here we've got dokla as well, and this is tempered and steamed. And this is made actually of a, I'll show you the recipe. So here's a recipe ingredients. All right, where you're going to use chickpea flour. Do you see that? And sometimes you can use a little bit of a wheat semolina. Don't worry about it. It gets pre-digested. And this is the other point. If you are dairy intolerant or wheat intolerant in this particular case here, once the food is pre-digested, the allergen aspect of it, the allergen part of the protein is actually virtually no longer there. So it's not an issue. And actually the benefit outweighs the risk, put it that way. Pure milk, different story. But fermented, highly intelligent kefir, again here, the semolina is just to make it a little bit of a texture. And honestly, it gets fermented. So you're using, you see, any fermentation needs a sugar. So milk has got galactose, you see. When you're doing the sauerkraut, it will be the natural sugar in the leaf of the cabbage. When you're using kombucha, you're going to be using a sugar base. When you're using the microbiome reset that I make, you use a molasses base. But when it's ready and fermented and it's ripe, there's no more sugar left. So don't even get stressed about that. It's literally just to get the fermentation process going. And they use also then the ginger and the chilies afterwards to add extra spice and flavors and oil and things. So if anybody's listening in and this is one of your favorite things to make, please also share your recipes, because I'm a blood group and I don't really eat chickpeas. So this will be going on very well for a B blood group. If you follow blood group. So yeah, share your recipes, please. And this can actually be really, really, really wonderful. And I've got two websites there as well that you can use too. So this is also great for bringing probiotics into the gut and pre-digesting the food, making it easier for our guts to do. And our ancestors knew all about this. Here we have the infamous kombucha. Now, kombucha is another whole story. And I'm sure you've been to the shops and you've seen the rows and rows and rows of kombucha and the different colors now, because they'll use a pineapple, they'll use a green tea sometimes, they'll use any kind of a fruit. You also double, it's a second fermentation process that you do with it. So here's my, it's a little bit heavy. Here's my kombucha, and at the top, for the people who are learning, that's called a SCOBY. And that is a colony of also all sorts of bacteria and fungi and yeast and things completely beneficial to the human. And I just want to tell you, everyone, my chickens love this, because what happens is you get babies. So this big, thick SCOBY on the top will literally drop a bottom layer, and then another bottom layer. So you take that out, and some people actually make sweets out of it, believe it or not. Other people put it in their compost. I give it to my chickens, and within a matter of minutes, they've eaten the whole lot. So imagine all that beneficial bacteria, fungi, and yeast going into them. Just too superb. So this is ready for pouring. You can see it's slightly bubbly on the top, as kombucha does look. And I mean, this has just come straight out of that jar. So this is just gorgeous. How should kombucha taste? It should taste like enhanced vinegar. It should not be sweet. So that's a problem with most of these bottles in the shop, is that they're mass-produced, they're poured too early. And how did I get onto this kombucha? Because I was buying the stuff and I knew it was amazing, but it was making me feel, I could feel the alcohol and I could sense the sugar. And I thought to myself, there must be a better way to this. Let me get hold of a SCOBY, let me experiment. And then I realized that from a pH point of view, the pH needs to be really low. Again, like about 4. You can wash dishes in this, by the way. You can clean your toilet with this. So this is how powerful it is. This is how acidic it is. And it needs to be like that so that the pathogens do not grow. All right. And also to indicate that it's ripe, so that all the sugar's been used up. So let's have a look at a recipe that I was showing you there. Now again, all right, you got some measurements there, but this is a standard measurement, by the way. So it's a cup of water which you boil, and then you dissolve a tablespoon of sugar, white, brown, it actually doesn't matter. And then you add 1 black tea bag. And I suggest you do this initially rather than sort of get fancy with green tea and all that, which you can do, but just use a black tea bag, a normal black tea bag. So it's 1, 1, 1. So if you're wanting to make a little bit more, you'll do 2 cups of water, 2 tablespoons of sugar, and 2 black tea bags. So you're going to have to get a SCOBY, and normally they hand it over. You don't really buy kombucha SCOBYs in the shop. So normally you'll have to find a friend to give you one. And then you will follow that. Here's the method. And then you leave it for 2 to 4 weeks. It depends on the temperature, and it depends on the amount of liquid. And the same thing when it's ready, you will decant it, but I will leave a good amount left, so that when I add the new black tea and sugar, which I'll do tomorrow, there's a starter kit already in there. So it just speeds it up, and you don't have to accelerate from such a low base. So again, that one is brewed in the microbial aerobic cloud. Same as the kefir. The kefir is also brewed in the open air microbial cloud. Food is medicine. And, you know, lots and lots and lots of bacteria, fungi, and yeast. So then that leaves us, I think, with one more that I just wanted to show you, unless there's anything else, you know, you wanted to see on the kombucha side. Oh, so then you can also take this and you can add pineapple juice and you do a second fermentation process. And that gives it quite a nice flavor and it gives a different color and that kind of thing. So that's how they get the different colors, and they add all sorts of things. You could even add, you know, you could add turmeric. You could add a bit of I don't know, cinnamon or chai or something like that to it. Whatever, you can do whatever you want, just about. All right, and then we have this other one, right? The microbiome reset, and this we brew ourselves. And just to put you in the picture. The stock comes from Japan because Japan got the patent. Great for Japan. So they managed to patent a natural thing, right? So anyhow, let's leave it at that. But this is brewed by farmers around the world. They take the peaches, the peach pip, they take the leaves, they take the soil, they take zeolite, they take maybe even some kelp, and they start this fermentation process. And this is where I saw what the probiotic looks like. A farmer showed me. He said, come and look at this, because they use it on their crops and their animals and everything. And that's where I saw the gazillions of stars, electrons moving underneath the microscope. So it's a natural thing. But in terms of consistency and also protection, we get a stock brew from Japan that we then brew with the molasses. And then I second brew it with blue-green algae, Chlorella spirulina, all the mushrooms, the adaptogenic herbs, some kelp, some rock dust as well. So I get a second generation brew. And why do I do that? Because the blue-green algae, the pollen, the medicinal mushrooms have their own microbial cloud. So I'm adding to an already good source. I'm bringing in more. And the fermentation process does even more things to the nutrients in the pollen and the blue-green algae and the chlorella and the mushrooms, etc. So you're getting nutrients that have not been documented. So you're getting a really super food, if you like. So that's why I do the second fermentation with them as well. So this is what it looks like. All right, it's a darker brown than the kombucha. It's completely different. It's a completely different thing. It's brewed anaerobically. So the thing about this is it's not really carrying. It's brewed anaerobically with natural material. It's guaranteed to have the 120 live strains. You can't get 120 live strains in the shop. The most you can get is 12 live strains, and it has to be kept cold. And most often the cold chain breaks and the organisms die. And secondly, you need to take the probiotics that you buy from the fridge, and you need to take them half an hour before you eat. Why? Because they're in the dormant frozen state. And we need to put them into the warmth of the body to get them to start multiplying. And sometimes we don't wait half an hour, so they actually go through with the food and out. So none of that happens with the natural probiotic. With 120 live strains, you can't really compare it. So it's not man-made, it's nature-made. And there's not only 12, there's the many, and we all know we've got our own microbial blueprint. So this will then, the organisms anyhow will shape shift according to the concentrations that we need to ward off infections and keep the body's immunity high. And not only that, by the way, all these fermented products will stimulate the production of vitamin B and vitamin K in the gut, serotonin, dopamine, GABA, PEA, all the brain neurotransmitters. So they are our happy food. They are friends, they are happy foods, they kill pathogens, they scavenge heavy metals, they alkalinize the body, they help digest the food, and just should not be missed out of any meal. You just start missing them if you start eating food again without it. And so that's very important. Let's just have a look at what I wrote here. Okay, so then, you know, what are these things doing? This one and all of them, but it reduces stress, our stress, because it's bringing in the neurotransmitters. Boosts the immune system, reduces disease because you've got an overflow of beneficial bacteria, fungi, and yeasts. Nourishing the body, reducing brain fog, improving digestion, optimizing elimination. So you find people that are constipated, give them a bit of cold pressed flaxseed oil, give them a bit of probiotics 3 times a day. And, you know, you're talking a different language. So, we need to clean nicely. And if the gut is sore and leaky and all the rest of it, that replica RNA, DNA, in addition to boosting immunity, but that will go and clean a little villi and will start repairing and rejuvenating the intestine. And so therefore also maximizing detoxification. So when they clean the oil spills, they will use a probiotic like this together with the digestive enzymes, and it munches up the entire oil spill on the ocean. So if you're consuming this from this tube that's outside us, you're becoming very squeaky clean. And then, you know, when we're talking about relying on our gut feel, we have a very nice, very clear space, literally, that we're operating from, which I think is very important. So thinking clearly and living productively, where prevention is better than waiting for when it's too late. So, you know, those are the ones I wanted to share with you. I hope you've learned a lot. I hope you've been inspired to go and make one of them. To make the kimchi, you're probably looking at maximum half an hour. And then it'll be a couple of days, a week to 2 weeks, depending on your climate, depending how warm it is inside. The kefir is going to take you a day or two. In my climate here, it's a day, sometimes half a day, and it's warm, it's already ready for you. The probiotic, well, you'll buy this one because this is a bit of a process to ferment it. The kombucha, you'll just get hold of a SCOBY. The idli, there's beautiful recipes. The dokla, there's beautiful recipes. The miso, you can buy miso. If you really want to concentrate it, you can do that too. So that's just giving us intelligence, right? And we need to do that because right now we need as much as intelligence as we can get to take us into the next space. And this is what I'd like us to prepare our gut very much so for the shadow workshop, so that we can really stomach, and I'm using the pun intended, you know, what's coming for us, and really be strong and hold our own space, and get ready to raise our vibrations. So we have really, really exciting times coming ahead. I'm really excited. And well, you've heard everything. So we've given you a kaleidoscope of information, from these archetypes to the shadow workshop to the fermentation, and yeah, it's basically our stability. The amount of microbes we have in our organism is our stability. It's our anchoring. It's our anchoring place, and you really do away with mental disease and depression and all these anxieties and worries and things. So I think that the advertising people and those people have done a very good job at programming us to forget the importance of these microbes. All right, so with that, let's see, there's another question, if there's any questions. So Wendy, let me just answer your questions. Yeah, you wanna add it. Hi Judith, and then Wendy, you also asked me how much salt and turmeric about. So I would say if you take a medium-sized cabbage, you could probably use a tablespoon of salt, and then turmeric. It depends, you know, what color you want and how much color you want in the thingy, but maybe 2 teaspoons of turmeric or a bit more. And then the caraway seeds, I throw caraway seeds in as well. It makes it delicious, and it's really, caraway is very good for digestion, very good for the gut. It's even in my gut cleanse. We buy the product. So, you know, even in your smoothies, if you're making a green smoothie, throw in a little bit of kombucha, throw in a little bit of microbiome reset probiotic, throw in a little bit of your kefir. Why not? Give it a little bit of texture. And then happy brewing. It's amazing because you become friends with, we were talking about becoming friends with nature's elements and the energies and the tree elements and so on. And, you know, here too, we need to make friends with these microbes because they are our mainstay. We can't live without them. We're 90% microbial, heavens. So we have to actually start forming a relationship with them. Like I say to my clients who come in, when we put them with their blood on the microscope and you see that absolutely awesome white blood cell just bending and stretching and cleaning and everything for you, make friends with that. Make friends, because that white blood cell is your immunity, you know, and obviously the red blood cells and everything else with it. But the white blood cell, it's formless. It's got no boundary. It's just lights. So these things are keeping us together. It's their energy that. Okay, nice to see you all, guys, because I don't always see your names because the page runs out here. But yeah, absolutely wonderful. Stay with us. I also posted, if you have a look down the messages, a little bit further down, Awakening to the Golden Age daily at 7 p.m. South African time, which is Greenwich Mean Time +2. You'll find me there, even if you know the topic, even if you don't know the topic, I'll be there, 7 p.m. South African time, Greenwich Mean Time +2 hours. And we're discussing all sorts of things from DNA to self-sustainability to self-organization to quantum to scalar to, I mean, I've got the list here. We've really gone through a load of topics, and I'm led to believe my web man has loaded them all now onto the library on the courses section. So you can go and have a look. We talked about bees. I want to bring in dolphins and whales right now. And anything else. We've talked about Mayan calendars and circular cities and things like that. So we're going to be carrying on bringing all of that information in. So there you have it there. There's that link. That link is the same link every day. So copy that link down. And then, yeah, I posted there some of the hypnosis ones that Desi gave us. She's given us 2 huge more links as well. Let me just see what else is here. And you can play the ones that the protection ones, the protection from all sorts of things. Wendy, yeah, so those talks are loaded, but there's about 3 of them that are never loaded because already 4 of my YouTubes have been taken down, and I don't want to actually risk all of them going and closing this thing, and I don't want to also risk my website. So if you want to have any direct information on DNA fragments, distortion of all of that, and the real realities about what is going on out there, then just inbox me. And it's very easy. But I think most of you have seen other people, what other people are saying anyway. But I don't want to go into that right now because it'll just damage the whole recording. And yeah, let's move forward. Before we know it, we're going to be even already into 2021. And I'm really encouraging everybody to let go, release negativity, past old patterns that aren't serving us as we move into the new order coming out of the chaos and reaching for the new paradigm and what there is for us. We are the creators. We create our future. All right, and we're getting done with authority, and we're getting done with rulers, and we're getting done with all of that, and we're rising up into our new space in terms of who we really, really, really are, and into the new information age, the technology age, where we use technology for our benefit, where it's a healthy space. And sounds very exciting with the planets lined up. I'm glad I'm here. I'm going to make sure I've got a front row ticket. And yep, there we go. All right, everybody, thank you so much for coming in. It's been amazing. Wendy, you might have missed some, but it's every day. So all of you who are here, it is every day, and I've given you that link down there. And also invite your friends, invite your clients. It's complimentary. I'm doing it because I just feel it's my contribution, you know, and all of that kind of thing. So cheers, everyone. You know what I'm going to be enjoying right now, and I hope you are too. What's happening about the planets on the 21st? So we have a situation where Jupiter and Saturn, this is quite correct, Jupiter and Saturn are moving out of Capricorn and they're moving into the house of Aquarius. So the age of Aquarius is the age of information age, as opposed to the materialistic age. So we're leaving the materialistic age behind. That's the Piscean age. We've done that, the age of rulers, the age of authority, the age of us being pushed down a road that we would never have gone down before. We're full of self-doubt, we're full of anxiety, we're full of sadness and fear and all of that kind of thing. And we have no courage, and we've lost the sense of love and the sense of freedom. So we were really, our hands were tied. We're moving into a much freer space. It's really a, you know, energetically charged space, and where we're going to see and feel and be guided by what we see and feel. It's going to be really tangible. It's not going to be having so much to ask other people and find our way in that manner. And humanity is really going to blossom in the new Aquarian age. So when the planets line up, they line up every 800 years. They line up every 800 years, and there's been a revolution, an evolution, revolution every time this happens. So you're going to find between now and 21st of December, maybe there's going to be some disruption to stop this awesome energetic cycle happening. Just maybe. I'm just saying, look for it. Don't be put off or anything, because we're charging forward through with courage, all right, and our purposes and why we're here and all that. So, you know, that could happen. But what I'm told, right, because I wasn't there 800 years ago, I might have been, I'm not sure, that there's going to be one very big, bright light with all these planets in alignment in the sky, possible. So we'll see. And again, don't be deceived and pulled here and pulled there. And I think that's where it's nice to work with Desi's source, because it's our source. It's just straight from the primary creator, nothing in between. And you know, we're going to be much easier to feel free, much easier to be in the love, joy, peace space that we've always wanted, which is ours anyway, but it's just been distorted, and we don't really want that. So the higher our vibration between now and then, we've only really got about 10 days, the easier it's going to be for us to slip into the higher dispensation. Some people call it a 5-dimensional space. The 4-dimensional space is very small and very quick. So 4-dimension is, fear, I'm going to be robbed and you're robbed. Fear, I'm going to manifest money and you manifest. Fear, I'm going to find a new friend and you find a new friend. That's very quick. That's very 4-dimensional space, very brief. It's like a stepping stone. And the 5D is opening up into this beautiful, beautiful, beautiful space. And yeah, well, we're all going to be showered with the new energy, and it's not a case of black and white. So it's, you know, we've been getting into it anyway, and we're going to be moving through. But literally, fundamentally, scientifically, astrologically, on the 21st, I think it's at 12 o'clock. I'm not sure which part of the world those planets are in alignment. So we've got some really auspicious things coming, and I'll be speaking a lot about this on the event. And there's 1 or 2 other people in the group also who know quite a lot about the space. And yeah, let's see what happens. We've got some amazing days ahead of us, and that's why it's not a good idea to be watching the news right now, because it's just keeping you trapped in 3rd dimension. Really now break off, cut off. Eat your microbes, eat your raw food, drink your water, get on the ground, look at the sun, reach for the stars, be in nature, be very sensitive to what nature's telling you, what it's communicating to you. You just got to ask, and you'll see and you'll hear. And, you know, also you request the most benevolent, from the primary creator, the most benevolent timeline for yourself, the most benevolent ascension. Yourself, humanity, your animals, the earth, all of us. And you also request that the everything that's unwanted, the alien entities, the energies that shouldn't be near you, the parasites and everything can go outside and disintegrate. Not wanted anymore, not serving you anymore. You can use our devices to drive them out too, electromagnetically. But the conscious driving of it out is important, and you really lighten up doing that. So yes, and you want your own operating system back. For heaven's sake, we've been operated by this other, I don't know, artificial operating system for I don't know how long, and this distortion and the lies, and request that your authentic self, you get back to your authentic, original, organic self, that your true you. And then we see how the archetypes play out once we're in a much higher vibration. And I'm going to be asking Desi this because, you know, are these archetypes there because of our lower vibration? What happens when we really raise our vibration to such a point where we're not in fear anymore? How do the archetypes play out? But I understand it's a continuous staircase that we're climbing, but we can really get to the top much, much quicker. So we are going to see quite a lot of big shifts. And just don't pay attention to anything. It's got to do with politics or news or anything that's going to distort your distraction. And when you remove the distraction and you close the door on it, my goodness, a door opens for you every single time. And request, start requesting stuff for your businesses and yourself to manifest on this level and manifest on that level. We have to create our future. See, we can't just leave it to happen. So we do need these days now to shut off and to really be focused and be open to the energy that's around. It happens only every 800 years, this kind of thing. But the age is every 26,000 years. So we're leaving the Kali Yuga behind and we're going into the age of Aquarius, the information age. To our advantage, the information age. It's going to be amazing. So yeah, create your space, and I'm not with courage, put it that way. And Liesel, I hope that's answered probably more than what you asked for. And do whatever we've been talking about. Do some fasting. Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody. It's been an honor to have all of you here again. And we look forward to all the events leading up to the 21st. So I'm going to be doing the Turning Point event again. I'll do that on the 17th, 18th, 19th, 20th. We'll overlap on the 21st, 22nd. Overlap with the 20th. 19th on the Saturday, overlapped 20th as well, Turning Point events, and some really auspicious stuff coming through there. And then we'll go into the 21st, the shadow workshop and everything that goes with that. And you guys are not going to be disappointed. Daisy's got some phenomenal things ready for us. So what an honor, actually, to have her do this. Okay, so look out for the info, and remember what she said as well. It's 150, was it euros, I think. What was it? Can't remember exactly. I'll have to do the replay, but I think she said that, or dollars. And then those people, she said to phone us that she wants everyone there. So if there's an issue price-wise, etc., then there's karma. Just tell us what you're going to do, what you're going to be doing, who you're going to be helping, what clothes you're going to be giving away, etc., etc. Okay, so done deal. We're all there. And you know what else I was thinking on another level, and you know, myself aside, but she's really given us golden information on all these Saturdays since the last weekend in March. She's been around. Maybe she's missed 1 or 2 or maybe 3 Saturdays. That's all, and she's really downloaded huge amounts of info to us. So I think in a way, it's you know, a nice thing just to, in some way, just, you know, to compensate. And show her our love by joining in and contributing. Okay, all the very best. Enjoy the rest of this auspicious day, and be sure to post. Those of you who haven't joined the WhatsApp group, I posted it as well down at the bottom. One of the little green stars. You'll see the WhatsApp group. And that's our group where we talk a lot, and it's useful to please anchor with that group, because if the tech goes down, or, you know, let's say there's a massive, I don't know, something interferes and all the rest of it, then at least we can be in contact. There's a way where we can say, hold on, everybody, we're just re-signing in, or because if a massive solar flare comes, it can actually close the internet. And then bad luck on your YouTubes and bad luck on all of that. So keep a hard copy of everything. I think that's a great idea too. Okay, just be aware of all sorts of things right now. Be aware of your DNA and just activating it constantly. So just have a look for that WhatsApp group if you're not on it. And all right, all the very, very best. Lovely seeing you. Bye.